Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. You know, at this channel we give you facts, not hyperbole or propaganda for the government. And you know, we do believe in preemptive strikes against criminals because we do believe in protecting life from the terrorists and the criminals alike and their supporters. A few weeks ago we had released a preview of what's about the current president of the PMP LGBTQ plus party, Mark Golden. Mark Golden is not a socialist, and he's not a man that idolizes the late Michael Manley, as people of the PMP LGBTQ plus party would thought. So there's a saying, that if fish come from the bottom of the river and tell you that shark is down there, you have to believe the fish because the fish live down there, and the fish, is visiting, so the fish is telling you who are his neighbors. So if you don't want to listen to the fish and go down there, well, shark will eat you. So I want you to listen to this lady. She's a very, very hardcore PMP LGBTQ plus supporter, and when you come on to your PMP, this lady do not play. And when you come on to Michael Manley, you don't play with the late Michael Manley and Norman Washington Manley. And she's saying that PJ Patterson, when he had, used the moniker Black Man Time, it was nothing to do with Siaga. It was a jab he was throwing at Michael Manley because he hated Michael Manley because Michael Manley did not support PJ Patterson and his corruption in the Shell waiver scandal and the Iran sugar deal. And PJ Patterson did not want to resign from the cabinet, although he told him to. So he was adamant that he would not resign as a corrupt minister of his cabinet. So Peter Phillips was given the job. Peter Phillips is all Rasta and brigadista. So Peter Phillips is more physical man more than PJ. So he went there and let him know that, hey, the boss sent me here, for you to sign this letter. So I am not leaving until I sign it, because Joshua give it to me. And Joshua is the man who have the rod. So PJ never forgive Peter Phillips or Michael Manley because they did not support him on his corrupt deeds. But and all along I thought that PJ Patterson was building Peter Phillips to become leader, not knowing it was the opposite. So sometimes what you see is not what is really happening. So I wanted to listen to, this stalwart PMP activist. Yeah, man, you listen, you will decide. Peace.
Mark Golden vote for Delroy Chuck in every election and gripe about the quality of candidates that the PMP put to run against Delroy Chuck. He can't support them quality of candidates, so some support Delroy Chuck. Having established that Mark is just a pawn in the whole game, then we have to go back. Way, way back. We have to go way back. So I'm going back and looking at where this thing started, when people like Paul Buchanan and Arnold Bertram and Siaga Nice and Michael Burke and all of those people start writing those foolishness about OT Fairclough, start to push OT Fairclough in the middle of the PMP history, start to look for a space to put him. And when you go back to that, you have to go way, way, way back from 2013. And tonight when I'm done, lots of people will be crying tears. Tonight when I'm done, Percival Noel James Patterson is the center of this conspiracy. And when we talked about it the first time, I thought I would keep his name out of it. But no more. No more. You see, there are some things that you just can't remain quiet about. And I'm saying to the PMP people, the leaders and all the bigwigs and MPs them inside there, I know, all on in there telling on yourself that only just going along to get along and things will change as long as you stay there and sitting at this little table and having seat at the table and all of that. I'm not telling myself that. But I'd like to tell you tonight that some things you can't remain quiet on. How do you sit there and allow Mark Golding to be out there trying to push out the Manley name out of the People's National Party and inserting this man with a picture that looks like it's his mugshot, look like him gonna arrest him or something in Haiti, and that's his mugshot. Mark went as far as color the mugshot and put him out as founder of the People's National Party. Coming back to the beginning, the PNP people across the island, very, very unnerved by it. Them not worried about it because them come to the conclusion that nobody can take Norman Manley out of the People's National Party. But they are unnerved. They are unnerved because them can't understand. Why? What is happening? Why? Why is Mark doing this? Mark who don't know nothing about PNP. Mark who was never a part of PNP. Mark who just came in a PNP the other day when Omar Davis gave him Tony's parling seat. So people are asking, why? Why is he doing this? And I'm here tonight to tell you the why. When PJ went to the NEC the other day and confessed that he didn't give us Mark, and him come to anoint Mark and call him Destiny. I hear that him say that in NEC that people out here giving him grief. Think it's a grief yet? Percival Noel James Pat, you think it's a grief yet? Good night, Ivan. You think it's a grief yet? Watch me now. So let me tell you where this thing began. This whole conspiracy started around 2005, early 2006. And it started with PJ Patterson deciding to leave as leader and allow the party to elect a new leader. What did he do when he made that decision? What did he do? He announced to the NEC that he's leaving. Then he announced to the NEC the period for campaigning, which was a whole long period of time. I don't remember what maybe it was a year, 9, 10 months worth of campaigning. I'm not complaining about it because I made a lot of money then supporting Omar Davis. But PJ went to the NEC and he announced this long period of time for campaigning, which undoubtedly fractured the party and started the whole division in the party. After he announced that period of time for campaigning, which was the first move on his chessboard to control and divide and control, the first move. But let us go way back. I could pause this, you know, and go way back. 1997, I think, when Manley left. I'm going to tag people from, you know, and share because PJ's going to have diarrhea tonight. I am drinking my onion thing. When Michael Manley decided to retire from politics, we had an NEC meeting down at the conference room, down at the conference center. And for the first time in our history, for the first time since PJ have been party chairman and Michael have been party leader, PJ walked into the conference ahead of Michael. For the very first, we've never seen anything like it before. But that's what happened. When Michael left, and the runoff between PJ and Portia Simpson, it was shortly, immediately after, not shortly, immediately after PJ came out the victor in that election, that internal elections. Immediately, he gathered his team his team of the black intelligentsia, a whole heap of black guys and middle class black guys who he has made tremendously rich. All of them now multi-millionaires, very rich. And that was his crew. That group of black, they call themselves the black intelligentsia. And PJ's campaign slogan going into the election was Fresh Prince, and then they came out with Black Man Time. And nobody thought about it at the time, but at the time when PJ used that thing, I talk about Black Man Time, people thought it was a shade at Edward Seaga. But it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a shade at the Manleys. It's Black Man Time. It was a shade, a deliberate shade at the Manleys. Black Man Time. And he campaigned on that. When he attained the prime ministership of the country, PJ Patterson set about destroying every structure in the party. Every structure. He locked down the party school, all of the committees, all of the commissions in the party. Him locked them down. Every structure in the party. And Bogues, we know your hustle with Mark them and stuff. But Bogues was pissed that the party school was locked down. The Vernon Arnett School of Political Education, PJ locked it down. Him locked down every commission in the party. And his sole focus as party leader was to build a election machinery. And that is what he set about doing, building an election machinery. Not a party machinery, not a political organization, an election machinery. That is what he set about building once from the moment he became leader. He destroyed every structure in the party and built that political, not that election machinery, which was designed to satisfy him needs. To satisfy him need for to be the longest serving prime minister, to be the prime minister that wins the most, to be the party leader that wins the most election. All those things was part of his leaderboard, the various parts. So the first thing he did was became leader and start with the excitement about Black Man Time. Now during his 14 years of party leader, 14 years as party leader and prime minister, every now and then when he gives a speech about Norman Manley, he would mention the other guys who were there, including O.T. Fairclough, Howard Cook, the guy named Domingo. None of them ever mentioned Greta Fowler because she was the only woman, and the lots of them never think she worthy of being mentioned. Greta Fowler, but she was there too. So was Eric Bell. And he always does that. Go back now, fast forward back now to 2006, when he was leaving and he put the second part of his plan in place. Second part of his plan in place was, one, to get Omar Davis elected as regional chairman to Region 3. And I was integrally involved in that. Very deeply involved in that. Why? Comrade Audrey Smith-Facey and myself were supporting my good friend, God bless his soul, may his soul continue, rest in peace, Alan Rickards. Alan Rickards we were supporting to be Region 3 chairman. But PJ used his little crew to infiltrate all over the place to convince everybody to put in Omar Davis as regional chairman. The second part, I'm planned. The first part, to set the tone about Black Man Time. That's the first part. Destroy the party organization and turn the PMP into an election machinery instead of a political organization. So that after I leave, the whole damn thing fall apart. We decide, Audrey, I was campaign manager for Alan Rickards. And we decided to support Alan Rickards. And PJ employ a whole crew of people to come talk to us. The last meeting I had was Paul Burke asked me and Alan Rickards to go to Jamaica House to meet with Danny Buck. Because Danny Buck was probably the only politician at the PNP who had influence over me. Influence. If Danny Buck tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't ask him nothing. I'm going to do it. Danny Buck can. And Paul Burke asked us to go to a meeting with Danny Buck. And in that meeting, Danny Buck convinced me and Audrey and Alan that to make Omar go forward. To make Omar go forward. Portia and everybody was supporting Alan. Alan would have won hands down. But PJ was doing him like a thing behind the back. Comrades, him is the man behind every damn thing. Up to this day. And that's why I'm just going to burst it out today. Because I am not going to sit here and watch Mark Golin and the instructions of some other people destroy the PNP and write the Manley's name out of the PNP. Mark Golin, you can't do it. And I'm not done with you. So, Omar Davis became region chairman. So that's the second part of PJ plan. Omar Davis became region chairman for Region 3. Of course, Omar Davis is not really a people person, so for however long he was regional chairman, he never really get no whole of people. I was always supporting. I was always supporting Omar. So by the time PJ announced that he's leaving, and Portia was going to run for leader, and Peter Phillips were going to run for leader, and that is the expectations of all the PNP, because those were the two who was lining up for it. Lo and behold, Omar Davis also threw his hat in the ring. A lot of machinations took place. And why I'm not going to mention some of those machinations, because PJ sent him crew, I'm not call them name, because they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing, so I'm not call them name. And PJ, him scatter him crew, you know. Those who join Peter, those who join Portia, and those who over Blight, and a whole host of them with Omar Davis. And Omar Davis' candidacy was not meant for Omar to win. Omar couldn't win. I was surprised that Omar got 200 votes. Omar wasn't supposed to win. Omar's entrance into the race along with Blight's was to ensure that Peter Phillips did not win. Because that's the second part of PJ plan, to ensure that Peter Phillips does not become Prime Minister of Jamaica. And let us back up and go way back now and then come back. Let's go around the road and come back. Shell waiver scandal. In the Shell waiver scandal, Michael Manley asked PJ to resign as minister with responsibility for energy at the time. And he refused to resign. Michael Manley asked him several times to resign. And he refused. Finally, Michael Manley write the resignation letter, give it to Peter Phillips and Paul Robertson, and tell them go to PJ yard and make him sign it. Peter Phillips, carrying out his duty from his party leader, went up to PJ yard and sat there the entire time waiting for PJ to sign the letter. PJ refused to sign the letter. And Peter Phillips said, "Nah, leave until him sign it." And Peter Phillips did not leave until the letter was signed. PJ Patterson never, ever forgave Peter Phillips for that one action. He never forgave him. And as I say that, I remember something. I remember the NEC meeting when him announced that him leaving and announced a time frame. Him and Angela Brownberg was haggling a little bit about how the election would be run. Because Angela was asking him if they're going to do like a primary where all the people who are contending would run, and the two that comes out with the most votes would go off in a runoff. And he was entertaining that for a little bit, because, you know, Angela was thinking that would not, Angela never want that. So she never want that. But he was thinking about that being a first option. And the NEC shoot it down and say, everybody just go in there, whoever counted the most vote win, and then count with that. And I remember at that meeting, and I don't remember it was either Ocho Race or Montego Bay. My good friend who passed, God bless his soul, who may lie perpetually sign, and my good friend, Franz Clark, turned to me. He and I were heading to where the food was. And him said, you see that little man, the man? That little man, the devious and bad mind and evil PJ attack. And I said, why you say that? And he kissing teeth and walk well left me. But I figure it out afterwards, because I never elaborate on it. So here we go now. When he became leader, Black Man time. It was the first shot he fired, which was designed to throw out the Manley them out of the PMP. Second thing, install Omar Davis as regional chairman so that he can run for president and thwart Peter Phillips' efforts to be leader and prime minister at the time. If it was a straight contest, as most people had expected it to be, between Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson, most conventional wisdom and by delegate count, Peter Phillips would have won. But with Blight and Omar in the race, that was thwarted. So that is second part of his plan. Having succeeded in dividing and keeping out Portia, he thought, PJ, he thought that with Portia as leader, he would be able to sit up a Uhuru and manipulate the whole, the Portia's presidents and the Portia's prime ministership. And you spread out him tentacles them. It was like a damn octopus with people all over the world. It's him crew of people, the black intelligentsia, all of whom got incredibly rich under his leadership and prime ministership. All of them incredibly rich, because PNP people did not benefit from PJ being prime minister. PNP people suffered for the 18 years that PNP was in power. 14 under him. The suffering that took place in this country. People suffered. Yes, in Bill Road and bridges and all kind of things, and in give ear Jamaica to Butch Stewart. He never cared about poor people. He made it enrich himself and his friends. That's what PJ did. And I thought that as a good PNP, you just allow them things there and move on. But I can't allow it any longer. I cannot allow it at all.
So, listen to the learned lady, historian, Hile, PMP LGBTQ plus supporter and activist. And as yours said, she make a lot of money then. Because, everything, whether, anything that people are doing, there's always some motives behind it. Because people don't do anything for charity, You understand? Charity is good and benevolent, but in Jamaica, as they used to say, everybody have to hustle, and that's how it is. But it's unfortunate that that PJ Patterson would go down this road, to discredit the work of the Manleys. In Jamaica, especially where I am from, in Jonestown and Jungle, Michael Manley is like God. It doesn't matter how many guns that they come and issue inside there and guns kill people and even them family and all that. Michael Manley is God to them. And Mark Golden is from Uptown, And I do believe her when she said that that he was not a PMP LGBTQ plus supporter and activist. But he is a Labourite because he could not vote for any of the PMP them that was on the ballots then. And I believe her. I do believe everything that she has said, because I have noticed that they're trying to erase everything about Michael Manley and Norman Manley from the party platform. And they have been doing it for some time now. And it's very disheartening. Michael Manley, give or take whether you like him or not like him, he has done some good, for the Jamaican people. A lot of good. And he has done some real bad things, by giving us men like Fedamap and Borry Boy, by taking them to Cuba and official government trips. And he has made a lot of mistakes along the way. If he had pursued what the blueprint that Singapore used and become a first world country, that is what he should have done. But it was the people who were behind him, hungry for power and wanted power, and they'll do anything to maintain power. And that's what happened. That's why when he returned, he was a change man, because he realized what was happening then was not for the betterment of the country, but it's just about maintaining power. So the last presidential election for the president of the PMP LGBTQ plus party, the two person who rise to the top are two former JLP LGBTQ plus activists. Because you have to remember, before Lisa Anna joined the PMP LGBTQ plus party, she was a staunch Labourite, because her husband, the Pantan that live in Georgia, proper Labourite, very, very intelligent, sharp, and the likes. And she was in New Kingston demonstrating against PJ Patterson. And they used it against her. That's why she did not win. But the thing is that they could not tie Mark Gold into the GLP LGBTQ plus party then, because it is evident that they have the evidence on tape that Lisa Anna is a Labourite turned PMP, and Portia Simpson is no longer there, and her political fortunes have been waning in St. Anne, so she decided to call it a day. But it is just one of those things. Politics can be really, really messed up. But I don't believe that they should be disrespecting the late Manleys. But PJ Patterson is a very vindictive man. You have to understand that. He's a man who have no forgiveness in his heart. And he believes that when he's wrong, he's right, and when he's right, he's not right. And it's the same culture, to the wider Jamaican people. Thanks for tuning into Jamaica Young Police Channel. That is just a part of the history of what is happening right now in Jamaica in the PMP LGBTQ plus party. We have no meat in the matter or bone in the soup. So we just report, you will listen, and you will decide. You understand? Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.